Welcome to the TJOmega automated review system. TJ is currently away at MetroCon 2017 and thus has set up a system to where I will be posting up videos in his absence. But while my directive says I should only stick to Transformers and Kamen Rider, I've decided as long as he is out and can't stop me in any way, shape, or form, let's review all the things he doesn't like to talk about. And that is going to start with Funko pop vinyls that he refuses to admit he has completely fallen into. See, the Funko thing is that eventually they will license something that is close to your childhood, something that you cannot say no to, and they will drag you down to the abyss where you belong. And this, in TJ's case, was Darkwing Duck. So we'll be taking a look at all of the ones that came out in that variety, starting with the terror that flaps in the night himself. If you are too young to even have known what Darkwing Duck is, please go find episodes. This show was awesome. And he's coming back in the reboot of DuckTales. I really hope they don't screw it up. I really, really do. But you're not going to match the original just for how amazing that show was back in the day. So, as we have here, it is a standard Funko vinyl, which if you never collected, here I only show you a Transformer so you can see about the size that you are getting into here. So, size comparison out of the way. Yeah, Darkwing Duck himself. I believe cast mostly in this white plastic that shows through for most of his head. At least everything on that looks painted over. It's always hard to tell on Funko vinyls because they paint up so much to get the color palettes correct. But yeah, you've got varying colors of purple here, dark for the back of the cape, light for his mask and coat, and even some pink on the inside of the cape itself. There's always a strange color palette for a boy's brand because pink is not something you want to put on a superhero in the first place, but there's a little bit of flamboyancy to Darkwing Duck, explaining his interesting choice of outfit here. But yeah, it works. It kind of does. Similar aesthetic to, Cyber 6 now that I think of it. But it works here. He's in a very heroic, know-it-all, kind of cocky pose. And Darkwing, yeah, he had a bit of arrogance to him. Complete with that classic Disney duck bill that they always used. I'm not sure if this actually relates to any duck. It's not any duck I've seen, but this is just what they've gone with forever. So let's keep going with it. Why not? Gold buttons down the coat, as well as the cufflinks. You can see a little bit of that cyan paint for his undershirt. That's a bit of attention to detail. I like that. Speaking of, there's even a little bit of wrinkling on his feet to give them a little bit of realism. Why you'd give a cartoon anthropomorphic duck in a superhero outfit realism at that point, I don't know. But I do like attention to detail, so we will just go with it. Why not? So yeah, this not a bad offering. He looks quite good. He conveys the character very, very well. He's even got that mean look in his eyes that he tried so hard to actually look intimidating. Most of the time, no, you kind of weren't. I kind of wish he had a pose with his signature gas gun, but seeing what they did with this line, I can kind of see why they didn't. We will get to that in a minute. But for now, Darkwing is a very nice introduction to the line. Oh, and just in case you're wondering, yeah, no articulation to these, except a left and right head rotation. About all you get. But it's just supposed to stand there, look nice, and represent something from your childhood. Or just something you really like, like most toys are usually done these days. And moving on from there, we have his adopted daughter, Gosalin Mallard. So, looking at a very different size class here, you can see they're trying to stay in the aesthetic, but they're also trying to convey that she is a kid. So the body is much, much smaller. I somehow think the head is much, much bigger, though. So they're still giving you a toy about the same size, and they're trying very hard to make her look like a child next to Darkwing. It's a little bit strange aesthetic-wise, and I don't know how well it works. But this is a nice little Gosalin. Yeah, I can't remember the old Darkwing Duck toy line well enough. I'm sure she got something, but, Darkwing been around a long time now. New toys of these characters are very, 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 very fleeting, which is kind of why you end up buying vinyls like this, even if you are against the line. So, let's see. She's got eyelashes now, so at least her big black Funko Pop eyes have a little bit of character to them. That's an improvement. And a little bit of tongue showing through. That's a little bit strange of a choice, because, I don't know. I guess it works. Just, I don't know, it's a little bit strange on the nose. I think I would just prefer to just straight red there. But detail-wise, she's done pretty well here. The jersey's painted up nice. Tampographed, #1 on the front. That lilac and purple color. Everything detailed well. You can even see the tail fluttering through. A little bit of yellow on the legs, and then shoes done up very nicely. Same kind of purple that's around her sleeves. So, once again, little bits of accuracy, little bits of detail going on. And she's kind of got this weird pose going on where her hands are splayed out to her sides like she's surprised at something. This is a Keen Gear moment, I believe. Yeah, this is what they thought slang would be in the 90s at some point. Not sure what Keen Gear means either, but Gosalin really liked the words. So yeah, I like the head sculpting on the figure itself. The hair's done very well, right down to these little chopped off ponytails. Yeah, I'm happy with that. It's a nice little representation of Gosalin. Strangely proportioned, but a nice representation nonetheless. I often wonder, and I don't run into enough pop vinyl collectors to really ask, are pop vinyl collectors kind of annoyed by like stylizing the body poses like this that they've done now? Because I remember all the old pop vinyls had the same kind of like just arms down, hands in fists kind of look to them. And nowadays, they just kind of make the bodies whatever shape they want. I never knew if that was seen as like an improvement or a deviation from what is traditional at that point. Now all my figures don't match anymore. Rage, rage, rage. I never knew. Someone tell me. Like, I've always been curious if that was the case or not. And moving on from there, if we were going to have Darkwing, we need a sidekick. And his sidekick was Launchpad McQuack. Yeah, he's the same one from DuckTales, unless you ask the writers of both shows, in which they swear that it is two completely different Launchpads in two completely different universes, unless you read the comic books where they crossed over and it was indeed Scrooge McDuck and Darkwing kind of arguing over who Launchpad was going to be with. So it was it's a weird continuity thing. I prefer to think that all Launchpads are one and the same. It's a universal entity. So once again, Launchpad is a huge character in the show and would warrant like one of their 6-inch vinyls should you have the inkling for it. But once again, we've gone with this aesthetic where he's still kind of the same size of figure, so we can fit it in the standard box and charge the normal price, but scaled so he is noticeably larger. There is a very strange little size scale here where Gosalin is supposed to be a small child, whereas Launchpad is supposed to be this giant guy, this giant Launchpad McQuack, but that bill looks more seagull to me. Yeah, trust me, like she's supposed to be like less than half of his size. So aesthetically, we're going a little bit odd on this set, aren't we? So let's take a look at Launchpad, looking very different from the others. Bill aside, that gigantic chin coming down. I guess he could just be a Jay Leno among ducks. I don't know. Scarf sculpted and painted in a light tan color. Little bit of a zipper showing through there. Cuffs around his aviator jacket done up in the same dark gray that he's apparently wearing for shoes, boots, socks. I don't know. Like, I can still see a little skin detailing on his feet, like he is actually barefoot and he's just like a black-footed duck. I don't know. I don't ask questions when it comes to Disney characters. I just accept them. So, white for the hands, again with a metallic here on the ends of his aviator goggles. Full flight helmet ready. Launchpad looking quite good. Now, they've also announced a DuckTales series, so Launchpad has actually beaten everyone to the punch on that regard. His head does not turn. Like, Darkwing and Gosalin could turn their heads. He cannot, even though it's the same point. It might just be paint frozen on mine. I don't know. I'm probably not going to risk twisting off Launchpad McQuack's head just to find out. So, he works out. I'm sorry, it's not Launchpad McQuack unless he crashes at least once per appearance. Okay, so we have the 3 hero cast. Do we have anyone for them to be opposed to? We do have one, And we have only one. This one was actually listed as an exclusive. To where, I don't know. I didn't look at the packaging that well. We have Negaduck, the evil counterpart to Darkwing. There's actually like multiple Negaducks because there's multiple origin episodes to Negaduck, and it's actually kind of bizarre. Still not quite sure which is which. Negaduck was kind of awesome. He's like a toned down version of Carnage from Marvel Comics, where he's very kill crazy and very weapon happy. As you can see, yes, he's just a repaint of Darkwing, because that's the whole gimmick now, isn't it? I always liked his color schemes too. You know, the black offsets the bright yellow and red really well here. It does give him this much more menacing, much more evil look. You know, it's hard to make yellow look evil. I kind of find that it's a strange color to have any kind of menace to it because it's usually so bright and cheerful and happy, and Negaduck was not cheerful and happy. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, it's pretty much just a repaint. You got the same things going on, head, rotate, etc., etc. Sculpting's still really nice, and yeah. If you want a villain, this is pretty much the only one you've got, but it's Negaduck. What else do you need? I mean, besides Megavolt, Ambush Root, and Liquidator, and Quacker. You know what? Just make that the next wave so I can have the Fearsome 5. That's all I really want at this point anymore. So, that out of the way, I think that will end it for the line, because there are only 4, and that's all 4 of them. They are very nicely done. They are the standard pop vinyl quality, which is to say, aside from a little bit of overspray here and there, they're well painted, they're well detailed, and they make a nice little thing on your desk or shelf to represent some of your favorite characters who may otherwise not get any kind of toy representation. That said, I do still have my issues with Funko, even if TJ refuses to admit that he's into the series now. I will still vent out a little bit because I still find things weird, like the packaging is really cheap, and I get like half the pop vinyls I see are popped out a little internal bubble, which leads to things like Ickis here being offset on his feet and unable to stand without a support. If anyone would like to tell me how to actually fix how wonky his legs got bent by the packaging, I'd love to know, because I'd really like for something with feet this big to be able to, stand up, or at least be flat-footed. Help would be appreciated. And now fix your packaging, Funko.